On this week's Tips from the Top Floor, it's time to review some of your greatest photos. It's Slack challenge time. Also, Woody has a question about shooting through a mirror. This is Tips from the Top Floor, episode 861 for the 4th of April, 2019.
Tips from the top floor, tips from the top, alright, from the top floor.
Hey, hello and welcome, it's Chris, and you're listening to Tips from the Top Floor, the longest running photography podcast in existence. Whew, lots going on. Let's see, I'm in the middle of preparing for a workshop for next weekend. Monica and I hold this now annual workshop in Berlin, a film photography workshop, Film Extreme, where we will push and pull, do color negative, expired film, slide film, cross-processing. We'll just see how far we can take it with film. And again, it's an annual thing now. Hope we can continue doing this. Very exciting event, very outside the norm, just to have a bit of fun with film for a couple of days. So yeah, that'll be next weekend. What else? Oh, I've been guest on another podcast, on the What's Your Passion podcast. So if you're interested in finding out how I got here and why I'm doing what I do, that might be a good place to listen to. So I'll link to that in the show notes. Also, quick thing. You might have noticed the Buy Me a Coffee button in the show notes. There's this some podcast clients have that or show that in the show notes, and it's a simple way to give to buy me a coffee, pretty much. And thanks to all the supporters who chimed in there, but there was a tiny little misconfiguration for about a week. So those who bought me a coffee in the last couple of weeks, you probably got your money back on PayPal because it couldn't reach me. Yeah, my bad. Sorry for that. Last bit of follow-up before we get into the Slack challenge is the advertising thing. Last episode, I asked you guys about your opinion on me taking generic ads on the show as opposed to photography-specific ads. You will notice I do not have advertising on this episode, for example. And I got several mails, and thanks everyone for writing. The gist was pretty much 100% that people do not mind generic ads, which surprises me because I don't know. But I listen to a lot of podcasts, so sometimes it happens that I get the same mattress commercial 5 times in a day, which kind of drives me up the wall. But it might be completely different. Maybe the majority of you guys have no opinion or don't care. But there's still something in me where doing generic ads doesn't sit quite right. So never say never, but for now I won't do that. I won't go that route. So let's talk about the Slack challenge. The isolated subject challenge, which was up for a bit longer than usual. And I think we have finally come to the point where I should take a closer look. So as usual, I have chosen 3 pictures to review. And this was the isolated subject challenge that Matt, Really Spixy Matt, posted. And I will put all the links to those images in the show notes and talk about it here, which I know is a bit unusual to talk about photos on a audio only show, but you can watch along if you're a member of the Slack. Some of the photos are in the Slack. Slack hosts the files, and then you would have to be a member of the Slack, which is free. And I think a couple of the photos are outside of the Slack on Flickr, which you can have pictures anywhere to participate in the Slack challenge. And those you can, of course, view publicly. Anyway, long story short, let's begin. The first one is by Joe Russo. And Joe posted a picture titled Daisy. And by the way, thanks everyone for titling your photos. Everyone who I picked for this challenge has put a title on their photos, and that's one of my pet peeves, pictures that do not have a proper title. So I appreciate that. Joe's photo is called Daisy, and what Joe has done, I like that because it's kind of a very simple but very effective form of isolating a subject from the surroundings. And that is by just eliminating the surroundings, by not having anything in the background that could be in the way. And of course, what Joe did here, well, first of all, it's a macro shot of a flower, beautiful colors. I think the focus could maybe be a bit deeper, but that doesn't really matter. I still like the photo. And then the backdrop is black. There's nothing there that could be in the way or distracting from the subject. So, Joe, good job. I like that. And let's move on to the second one, which is titled Peach Blossoms by Denise Roof. And Denise has done something, well, first of all, similar, because it's also a picture of flowers, not just one, but multiple flowers. But those are not in front of a neutral background. Those are in front of the rest of the tree. There's a tree behind there. And so it's not an as simple background. And there's leaves there, and there's, again, other blossoms there. But what she's done is Denise has isolated the subject using depth of field, which, again, is a very, very good way to isolate a subject from the background by literally not focusing on the background, but by focusing on the subject and by using an aperture that's wide enough or a focal length that's long enough so you get shallow depth of field. And that works really well. And sharpness, what does sharpness do? It makes hard edges. And that is very distinct from the soft and blurry edges that in the background that make everything kind of flow into each other. And then, oh, by the way, the focus is also on a bee. So that is another way to isolate a subject, by having a subject that is different from the rest. And that bee is clearly different from the rest. So good job, Denise. And the third one is titled Cocoa Mountain with Grain of Salt by Eran Pinasov. And this one threw me. Initially, it threw me because it's a landscape photo, but it's a macro landscape photo. So what he has, it's cocoa powder, and it is arranged in a way that looks like a mountainscape, like dunes in the desert. And that was, my first thought. And it looks like it's orange in the back, so it looks like there's a sunset or something going on back there. Now, you can kind of tell it's not a landscape shot because of the shallow depth of field. It's very shallow, and the focus is clearly on that ridge in the foreground. But then there's one thing that kind of sticks out, and that is a grain of salt. So there is, a bit of I have no good idea how big it is. It's really hard to tell, but it clearly sticks out as the subject because it's different from the rest. The light direction is beautiful, so it's lit from behind, so you'll see the rim, the edge of that cocoa dune in the front and in the background as well. So the contrast works well. The subject has a different color, so it is clearly isolated, also sort of in front of a black background because there's shadow behind it, and it's being lit from behind. And the grain of salt is one of a kind, so it clearly sticks out. So awesome job in isolating the subject. Also awesome job in just building that shot or that set, because I think that's what you did. I don't think this happened by accident. Good job. And then last but not least, there is one bonus photo, and that is by our release pixie, Matt Rafsitar Armstead. And it's a photo titled Isolation. And I like this because it is so simple. It's a black and white photo, and you see Well, in the middle, there's a person, and the person is walking away from the camera. The person is quite far back. Actually, it's not close to the camera. It doesn't fill the frame at all. It's very small in the frame. And the person walks away under, these kind of makeshift temporary underpasses at construction sites in cities, where you'd have scaffolding, and that would protect people from stuff falling from up above from the construction site. So the person is walking in that tunnel, in that sort of open tunnel. And I've initially thought, why does this work? I mean, how does this subject work? And there is a very clear and good way that Matt used there to isolate the subject from the background. And that is by contrast, by sheer contrast. You have a subject that person has a black jacket, dark pants on, a dark hat, and everything behind that person is brighter. So there is clear contrast, separation between the foreground and the background. And then in addition, the scaffolding just makes lines, perspective lines that all point to the subject. So it's the center of attention, even though it's really not that big in the photo. So everyone, excellent job. Thanks for participating in the challenge, and we're up to the next challenge. Matt, take it away.
Hello, everyone. Ravstar, the Release Pixie here, and we're just wrapping up the March 2019 challenge. That was a longer one due to some vacation times and some things like that, but we did what we could, and everybody hopefully got in that they wanted to get in, so Chris will be reviewing those soon. Time to set up the next challenge. So this is for May 2019, so we'll go back to our normal 2-month challenge time, and the challenge this time is low angle. So what you need to do is get out and get down. So you want to take that picture from low. Most pictures that we take and we see are taken from normal human height. So for me, that's 6'2". For you, it's whatever height that is. So things are different when you look at them from a toddler's point of view. When you're looking at 2 feet from the floor, or even 2 inches from the floor. So get out, take that picture, low angle, no other restrictions. Just do it. Edit it however you'd like. Choose one photo, give it a name that's not just the file name that came out of the camera. Host it on your favorite photo editing website, or you can even upload it to Slack. Post a link into the May 2019 challenge channel, which will be created hopefully when this audio is going out. And at the end of May 2019, Chris will pick a couple and he'll talk about them in an episode, and we'll go to the next challenge. So happy shooting, everybody.
Thanks, Matt. Get out and get down. So this is the next challenge, low angle. And you have until the end of May 2019, low angle. And here's how you can participate in the May 2019 Slack challenge. If you are already on the TFTTF Slack, just go to the new channel. It's named Challenge-May 2019. If you're already a Slack member, I'll put the link to the new channel in the show notes. If you're not a member of the TFTTF Slack just yet, what on earth are you waiting for? Seriously, hey, it's easy to get on there. It's free. It's a great community. And yeah, there are challenges and stuff. Check out tfttf.com/yslack. Again, link in the show notes. That's where you get access to the Slack. Our CIO, Rusty Russ, our Chief Invitation Officer, will be more than happy to get you on board. And as usual, there's no prizes to win. The reason for you to participate is motivation, is going out and getting back into that photography mode that so many of us have kind of tucked away during winter, including myself. Didn't shoot as much as I wanted to. Get off your butts and work on your photo mojo. And then, of course, I will pick a few pictures. So there is a bit of a prize, but your photo might be here on the show and linked in the show notes and everything. And as there's nothing to win other than some practice and a bit of me talking about it, that will make you a better photographer. You don't just go out and pull out an old photo from your Lightroom catalog. Take a new one. That's what this is about. That's the point of these assignments. And you have until the end of May, and I'm looking forward to seeing your photos for the low angle challenge.
Hi Chris, my name is Woody and I run a YouTube channel where I demonstrate keyboards and synthesizers, and sometimes I use a mirror next to the synth to show a reflection of my face as I'm playing. I've noticed sometimes the focus is really off, which got me thinking about how to correctly focus on a reflection. As an example, say I'm standing 5 meters from a mirror and want to take a photograph of myself. Do I set the focus distance to 5 meters or to 10 meters? Another example, I want to capture the reflection of some distant mountains on the surface of a nearby lake. So if I'm manually focusing, do I choose to set the distance to the mountains or to the lake? I think I know the answer, but I really don't understand why. So I'd love to hear your take on it. Thanks ever so much, Chris. Keep up the good work.
Hey, thanks, Woody. I checked out your channel. I'll put a link in the show notes. Love the mirror idea. Very organic. Such a low-tech way of doing this, where others like have all these cameras and have a picture-in-picture and stuff. No, the mirror adds a very like organic feel to this, and a good production value there. So I like this. Mirror, mirror, mirror on the wall. You said you know the answer, and that's probably true. But yeah, there's a bit more to it. So if you shoot into a mirror, it really kind of depends on, first of all, what you want in focus, where you want the focus to be. That is your decision. And typically in your application, you probably want to focus on the reflection, right? On your own reflection, because that's what you put in the mirror, your own face. So the focus distance would be from the camera to the mirror, plus from the mirror to your face. The full length, as if the mirror wasn't there, as if you were looking at your face. Or if you wanted the mirror to be in focus and not focus on what's inside the mirror, you'd focus on the mirror, like on the edge of the mirror, for example. And that might not make sense in your YouTube videos, but I don't know. Maybe if that photography is more on the artsy side, then that might make perfect sense. Now, luckily, your camera's autofocus works just fine. No matter if you shoot through a mirror or not. If you focus on what's in the mirror, it will do that. And if you, and you'll have this sharp in the photo. Now, in your specific case, the whole thing might be a bit more difficult because you have to mix two things in your videos. You have like your hands on the keyboard, you want those in focus, plus your face in the mirror, and you want that in focus too. And if those are at different distances, that you might have a bit of an issue. So to get both in focus at the same time, you'll want to make sure that the distance from the camera to your fingers is the same distance as the distance from camera to the mirror plus the mirror to your face, right? So if those are drastically different, then you might have an issue focusing properly. But you can do this by moving the placement of the mirror, right? You can just move the mirror back and forth to change the distances there until you have those two distances equal. And of course, it helps if that then also ends up being a pleasing composition. And if you cannot get both completely equal, then there's one more tool that you can use, and that's the aperture of your camera, of your lens, because depth of field, again, works exactly the same no matter if there is a mirror involved or not. So you could make the aperture just a bit smaller, and this way increase the area of focus, and that will result in both your hands and your face being in focus. So that was it for this episode of Tips from the Top Floor. Signing off for the rest of this week, and I'll be back in another week. If you like this episode, you know what to do, right? Tell others, let others know. Come on, you can do it. Make a little tweet or a little post, or buy me a coffee. Go to tfttf.com/coffee. That's tfttf.com/coffee. And yes, it is configured the right way now. Music for the show by Jeff Smith, Silent Part and Hans Peter Kagerud, Publishing, and Slack challenges by Release Pixie, Matt Restator, Armstead, Slack invitations by Chief Invitation Officer CIO Rusty Russ, and the link to get on the Slack is in the show notes so you can participate in the May Slack Challenge. Now, here's, as usual, the list of patrons, and I was asked why I'm reading all the names at the end of the show, and a while ago it occurred to me that while I make this show for everyone, and while I don't mind if you listen to the show for free, that's pretty much always going to be free, patrons are the most important supporters. You guys give $1 or more per episode, so actually I make the show first and foremost for you guys, the patrons. So this is one way of saying thanks. You're all very, very awesome and good looking. And since last week, there have been a couple of new patrons, so welcome to the club. Let's see if you can spot them in the list. Here we go. Jeremy Kerwin, Jeffrey Block, Ken Davidson, Roger Nadel, Daniel Hertig, Alin Simeoniu, still don't know how to pronounce your name, sorry, Marco Binder, Doug Gabbard, Peter Morrow, Alex Krauser, Tom Stewart, Matt Armstead, Stu Silberman, Eran Pinasov, Holger Krupp, Woody, Trevor Palmer, Ryan Gilio, Thomas Nilsson, Dave Smith, David Recht, John Donahue, Ken Berian, Steven Sandler, Just Me MR, Alan Bruce Horn, Andrew B, Rob Duba, Chandra, Anthony, Jim Caldwell, Peter M, Spradling, James Trimble, Michael Grunert, Scott, Bartek Boski, Chad Lake Clark, Robert Goshko, Sina Farad, Kyle Nishioka, and Josh Hopko. Thank you all so much, and if you want to be on this list, go to tfttf.com/support. My name is Chris Marquardt. You'll find me on social media at Chris MarQuardt. Now go out and take amazing photos. Share them with the world. Be nice to each other. And happy shooting.